To dive into all this, Remi Piet's going to help us, senior partner, Embellie Advisory. Good to see you, my friend. Let me start with this. Things are getting complicated. When this all started, sanctions, it was sort of relatively clean and easy. It's banned, that's it. But now there are exceptions to almost every sanction there is out there. Let me start with this, the Russian coal going into effect now. Is that going to be a problem for Europe, or are they going to be able to manage through that?
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to talk to you, Phil. It's interesting to see this new domino, new brick into the systemic change that we're seeing in energy supplies across the world, and specifically with the kind of implementation of that ban on Russian coal. Is it going to be having a strong impact on European countries? You'd have to dip deeper into which country is going to be facing the most hardship, specifically Poland, Germany, the Netherlands, that tend to be high-level importers of Russian coal. But in the case of coal, there are different avenues for substitution, and we've seen over the last few weeks and months increased imports from Europe of coal coming from Colombia, from South Africa, from Australia. Even smaller players in Africa, such as Namibia or Mozambique, have been increasing their imports towards Europe. And so maybe the deeper impact is going to be felt by Russia on this one, because that represents $8 billion of exports a year for a country that is already facing a series of intense expenses for the war efforts and others. So I mean the impact is going to be felt by both sides, obviously, right here, Europe and Russia.
And the irony is that as you already know, coal isn't exactly the cleanest energy to burn. So we wean off coal and we go into nat gas, which is much cleaner. But now we have the issue of natural gas, which Russia, of course, is sort of threatening to cut off supplies or disrupting supplies. And the EU wants to cut consumption by 15%. And we've ran a number of stories where people are wearing sweaters, or we're going to change the temperature and save gas. And my question is that going to be enough to get Europe through the winter? Yes, we're going to turn off the heater, or we're going to turn off the air conditioner. And is that going to save the 15% or more, possibly, that they need?
Well, natural gas is definitely the biggest part of the equation here, and the capacity for substitution of natural gas from Russia is much more difficult. So when we look at the equation of energy, natural gas is much more important there. The coal, as I was mentioning, the impact is going to be felt probably from heavy industry or household and other in terms of heating during the winter. But at the same time, when you look again at the data and recent imports, the European countries have been importing quite a bit, both natural gas and coal, to be able to increase their reserves. We have, last month, twice the levels of traditional imports to the European Union in coal has been reached. And so you actually see that there's a fair amount of preparation, both from the industrial actors in the energy, but also at the level of the European Commission, because the deepest question will be the capacity, indeed, in terms of reducing consumption over the winter. There's been plans put out there in terms of reducing by 15% at least. There are some avenues for energy efficiency, especially when we're talking about coal. We're actually including elements of discourse that were already out there for climate change mitigation and having better energy mix. But in case of natural gas, it might be much harder down the road to look at this. As I said, there are margins for energy efficiency. There is a clear.
Are you saying? I mean, I'm just sorry to do this to you, but are you saying it's not enough? That they're still going to have a problem, even if they raise the temperature and they save the 15%, that's not going to be enough to offset what Russia might be doing to Europe this winter?
No, I mean, what I'm saying is that the 15% is definitely needed, and it's possible to actually achieve this. Will it be enough? It depends, obviously, of the needs for energy, depending on whether it's going to be a very cold winter or not, depending also of the economic, output or need for different resources. The key question will be to find, as I said, alternative sources. They've been in terms of natural gas agreements signed with, Azerbaijan especially, but also looking at relationship with Qatar and other large actors in natural gas. We've seen a lot of activities of trying to diversify supplies and have plan B and plan C, and also obviously in terms of electricity generation, when other countries such as France rely so much on nuclear energy, their capacity to reach output that haven't been reached recently because of a series of maintenance in the park of reactors. All these are key variables to understanding the stress that will be felt by European countries. But down the road, and just I will finish on this, I think maybe Russia will be the biggest losers on this, because we're seeing countries that have been fighting for market share of exports that are now being able to eat at the place that Russia used to have in the past, and they're selling their own energy production at a severe discount to other players around the globe now.
it is such a frustratingly complicated scenario because we're trying to predict what's going to happen this winter, which obviously it hasn't happened yet, and a lot of ifs and maybes. But I want to thank you for the analysis. We didn't even get to the whole China angle because I was going to say they could make solar and wind, but we'll have to get to that next time. Remi, good to see you.
Always a pleasure, dude.